You are listening to the B2B Marketing Mindset with Pete Monfrey and Bill Lowell. We want to help demystify marketing to reduce risk, drive more and better opportunities, and grow your business. Are you ready to master marketing?
All right. I don't think Bill can hear the music. I get to hear the music, but I don't think you do. Get a fraction of the experience. Someday I'll tell you about the theme, but welcome. We're talking about today the B2B marketing mindset and what does that mean and why should we care about having the right mindset as a B2B marketer, and how do we define that? Man, I turned that gosh darn music down. Anyway, but yeah, it's good to see you. We've been off for a while, and we're back, and now you can find us at everywhere podcasts are consumed: Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. We're on Amazon, I believe. I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two, Pandora. So wherever you dig your podcasts, you can dig this podcast. So anyway, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again. And yeah, I missed being on screen with you, but it's been fun times, as they say.
Well, we've had a lot of changes, and I'm excited to talk about this topic because it ties into the name of the program, and that's really how important it really is. So I'm going to attempt to go to some slides and see what happens. And let's just start with the first one. And for our audio-only listeners, attitude is everything. I'll read the slides. So for the video people thinking, you don't have to read the slide to me, but it is for the audio folks. Attitude is everything. Having the right mindset is the difference between success and failure. I think it's that important. And so having the right attitude.
Absolutely.
How would you describe that attitude?
One of the things that's just so important is, there are a lot of organizations that resist wanting to do marketing or even putting themselves in that framework. And so, you and I've talked about this a million times. You've got to get your mind set. So whether you're going to do anything, when you're going to set a goal or do whatever, I mean, even if somebody wanted to lose weight, if they wanted to get in shape or do whatever, their mindset, you got to get your mind right. And so
the mindset can defeat them before they even start. And I think some of the it's a broad idea. We're going to cover a few. There's actually a set of mindsets, and we'll be covering them over multiple episodes. So we've got a few of them for today. But for example, attitude, looking at marketing as an investment instead of a cost.
Exactly.
Right? That's just a brain change. It doesn't even cost you nothing. Growing a business is a marathon, not a sprint. You got to be committed. You got to do the work. Or expend the resources, or one or the other. That's your choice. See marketing as an iterative system, not a. I always picture a bunch of plates spinning, not individual plates, but a whole system of spinning plates.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've had, getting back to the attitude for just a second. I'm sure you've had clients, and I know I have, where there's times that you seem to be working harder than they are on their own business. And it's like, in my opinion, having the marketing mindset is saying, if I'm the customer or I'm the organization, I am front and center. It's more important to me. And yes, the other people that I hire, like you, Pete, or Heidi at Heidi Designs, I'm going to make sure, that they support what I do, but I'm going to be excited and want to do it. So getting back to your point about the investment, it's critical.
Yeah, well, you want to be, excited for your client's success, but if you find yourself caring more than they do, that's kind of a problem. But having the right attitude, being open to change, a lot of if you're trying to transform your marketing, it's a process of change, and people ignore that part of it. So let's go to the next one. Data-driven decision making. Use your gut, but back it up with data. So no matter what kind of marketing, I think this applies to everything: B2C, B2B, B2G, B2H. Have you heard about the B2H?
No, tell me about that.
I just saw this the other day. It's business to humans.
Oh, wow.
Which makes a good point. You're not selling to a business, you're selling to humans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use that term if I were y'all,
No.
especially if your boss is nearby. But this, I think, applies to everything, but it should be driven by the scientific method. That's kind of what that means to me is when data gets involved, when data gets to the party, it's all about the scientific method.
Exactly. And I know that there's part of the marketing process that's emotional, and so that some people get excited about it, which we want them to do. We want that emotional appeal. However, a lot of times having the data help you to drive your decisions really helps take the emotion out. So it's like, okay, was this
Right.
was this task that we really did it bring us the ROI that we really needed or wanted? I mean, I think that that's really key, really doing some of the data. And the other thing that I like about the data, Pete, I don't know about you, but doing stuff where I can track it maybe year after year or time after time. So maybe we do some and then we check it again next year and we can see where has that needle changed. And I think
Well,
that that's just really important.
well, and here's the thing: a lot of companies that may have the data part right. One of the things that we've seen many times is they're trying to measure so many things that ultimately nothing gets measured, or
Right.
their data, whatever it is, didn't originate in any sort of research legitimate way. It was really, maybe it was company lore. Maybe a CEO 20 years ago said that customers buy on price, and that
Yeah.
became, people's thinking and their mindset. How many times have you done a survey where you were asking about criteria, buying criteria? How many times was price number one? Now,
Yeah, hardly ever. And if it is, then you're a commodity. And then, in my opinion, you're at the end of your life cycle. It's getting
you're in
scary.
trouble. And
Exactly.
that's the funny thing. And that's 30 years of doing these kinds of surveys for you. So, and we've done our fair share of them as well. And for us, I think I don't think we've ever seen it. We've seen it be number three.
Right.
Not to say that it's not important, but if it's your company lore and you have this mindset, because this almost goes back to attitude. Like, what's your attitude around money, right? Are you underpricing yourself because you don't really value your own services that much, or what's your mindset on that, right?
Yeah. But a lot of times, what I find too, it's usually never one thing. It's always, it could be, something that's very unique and something else, or maybe there's always one or two things that are really important. The other thing that I think is so important on this particular item to be, the data driven is, and you and I have talked about this offline so many times, but think about what COVID had done to our country, to the world. But
Right.
think about it from a business standpoint. If you're still, as an organization out there, if you're still doing things the exact same way you were doing it before COVID started, and that's what you're doing, you're in trouble because
Right.
times are changing, things have changed, and you need to measure that to see what's different.
And it ain't just the price of gas it's changed. Literally,
Right.
like B2B buyers have changed how they buy. And a lot of it is doubling down on stuff they did before, but it's you got to have some data, or you're not going to know what is going on. Here,
Yeah,
did
and we
get
could
these
have you and
slides
I
wrong?
you and I could have a whole 3 or 4 episodes just on this
Well,
because it's so important.
and we probably will.
Yeah.
But not today. Customers.
No, we
So the
can't.
next slide is customer problems are king. So one of the mindsets is you've got to have a deep understanding of your target customers, what they want, need, and what their pain is. I mean, B2B is all about problem meets solution. Whose problem or what problems do you solve and for whom?
Hmm.
Whom is the grammatically correct word.
Right.
What problems do you solve for whom? This is one thing I see when people come from other marketing disciplines, B2C, for example. They see that as leading with a negative. And it's like, no, it's because that's what people actually care about. Companies don't spend money unless they're in pain,
Right.
period. And they got to be in quite a bit of pain to spend money. You need more paper clips? What do you people think? We're made out of money here? So
But I think the other thing, and I agree with you, some people perceive that as being a negative, but it's really not at all. I look at it as, what am I going to do to listen to the needs of my customer? And just like you said, what are their needs, their pain points, what are their preferences, what do they want? I mean, even down to
Right.
the how do they want us to communicate with them? I mean,
The
there's
nuances.
exactly,
So how do you find out?
yeah, I think,
You
you
ask
know,
them.
ex
They can't wait to tell you. So that's
yeah.
why I think this mindset is easy. Your customers want to help you, and you can ask them anything; they'll tell you. Let's
And
go
they're
to the next slide.
actually, I think they're actually complimented when you ask them because they want to help you, and then all of a sudden you become a trusted partner with them. The other thing that's really important in that area with regard to getting closer to the customer, they'll help you to be more innovative because maybe a customer will have a need or a pain point that you are able to solve, and maybe it's a new service, and then maybe others have that same thing that you could sell too. So it opens up a door, I think, to the future for you. So it's really an exciting topic. I'm sorry to
Absolutely.
belabor this.
No, absolutely. I just realized that I forgot to wear my jacket. So
I
that's
was
why.
going to say something, but I thought, you're just being a hipster today.
I'm
So
just
I
being
figured
cool.
it's
That's
great.
all it
Yeah,
is.
you are.
So
Well, you have so many other talents that most of us don't have. So I mean, you could break out in song, you could play the guitar, you could do that violin behind you. So,
I'll wear my I'll wear this gold lame thing. It looks real
I
nice.
I think that that's great.
But
So
the next slide, you got to have a long-term mindset. And now there's more to this than it seems on the surface, right? Got to have a long-term mindset. What are we talking about? We're talking about the four legs of the stool. We got our four-legged stool, and I created that graphic really quick because people would never think about stopping and starting their finance or their operations efforts in a company, but they stop and start their marketing all the time. Like, no, it's an ongoing thing. It's a long term. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But it also applies to customer relationships, sales cycles. How long is your sales cycle? Somebody buying a $10 item, buying cycle is going to look a lot different than could be seconds. Some companies it's a year, right? Now there's ways that you can minimize your sales cycle. A lot of companies don't know that they have a fair amount of control over their sales cycle. They just don't know it yet. Marketing, return on investment.
so important.
It's a long-term game,
Yeah.
and then
You
even
know,
all the way to your exit, right? So long-term mindset.
a couple of things that you mentioned that I think are really important. You said don't shut off your operations. You don't shut off your manufacturing. I look at it even from an investment standpoint, and there's probably a lot of people that are, if they're business owners, they're doing some investing, but it's like you don't time the market. I mean, that's like one of the dumbest things that people can do. You put in a certain amount into the market or into your retirement program over time, and then you watch it grow. It's the same thing with marketing. If we tried to time the market, oh, July is slow, so we're not going to do anything. Let's do something it looks like things will pick up around, the holidays. I mean, that's just silly. You're gonna miss some opportunities. So I think that you're really key on that.
Or when things are getting tough, I always think of myself, I always think of it this way. I've got a factory running, and
Mhm.
my business, we're not selling enough widgets. So what are we going to do? We're going to cut the power to that factory, right?
That makes sense.
And sometimes this is like, I heard somebody say this, I wish I could give them credit. I don't remember who said it. It's like trying to explain water to a fish.
Yeah.
Let's go to
You
the
know,
next mindset.
I was
Oh, go
just
ahead.
going to mention one more thing on that. With the long-term relationships, you've talked about it with the life cycle and everything else and the value of a customer and the ROI, but building loyalty, that is really important with regard to that long-term relationship because that loyalty will give you referrals and referrals will enhance the word of mouth. So, I mean, it's kind of like a domino effect for great things to happen for the organizations and for the people that are listening.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because so often companies think that they're too focused on trying to bring somebody new in when they could be doing more business with the people that they've either done business with the past or are now. In fact, I had one company that said, well, all of these people we know already. Well, does that mean they don't count because you know them when they've shown high intent to buy your service? Let me switch it to the
What
slides.
a great insight. I think you're absolutely right because what you're saying is some of these people aren't probably getting as much business away from their or out of their existing customers or clients as they could. So you're right.
It's a great way to have them buy from somebody else. So
Yes.
next slide is know your quintessential uniqueness. That's a good handful right there.
That's too
Quintessential
fancy. That's too
uniqueness.
fancy for me. I don't know what that means.
And be able to clearly communicate it to customers. So you were talking about, what were you saying before the program? You said, oh, quality.
Yes.
So you ask somebody what
I'm
differentiates
so
you, and they're
quality
like,
is what we do. Quality.
we have the highest quality.
Yeah.
We have the most amazingest service.
Yeah. We are the most high priced that there is. I'm so excited about that.
That's right. Well, here's a thought experiment for you. Look at your website and try to imagine somebody else's logo on there. And then ask yourself, does it still make sense and stand up? If it does, you don't have a clear position in the marketplace. You're a commoditized product. And I'm going to bet that you face a lot of price pressure. Doubling your price would be out of the question. You know what? A lot of our clients who we work with double their price. One of my clients has a little ad agency, and through our recommendations and advice, she doubled her price, and nobody noticed. It was awesome. And they also niched down, so they have a quintessential uniqueness. And often for service companies, maybe it's the way that they do the work or something, but there's always something unique about your business. Your business is absolutely unique. You're just not hitting it on the communications front.
Right. You just hit something important, and you and we've done a webinar. I know you do. We've done a webinar on this before, so maybe people can even look at the archives with creating compelling messages. But you're absolutely right on the communication. So it's not only understanding what makes us unique. And by the way, I love that analogy of putting somebody else's logo on our website. That really is profound. But the other thing is, what kind of are you able to clearly articulate those messages, and what are the messages that you're going to use? So I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Well,
but
you have to know what the other messages are. So,
right.
And so there are options. So we think of competitors like companies exactly like ours. And a lot of people, they don't see any companies that are exactly precisely like theirs, so they don't think there's any competition. But the reality is that customers have options. And so whatever might be an option for whatever it is you're selling is what you're competing against. And so you should know how that company is messaging and what they're, and so that you can be different. I always ask this question: different from what? If you don't know the competitive landscape, what are you different from? How do you know? It's a relative thing.
Or like you said, almost like the same thing with that analogy of the website. Is everybody sounding the same? Are you saying the same things? Do you have the same messages as everybody in your industry or the competition? If that's the truth, you're not standing out. So you're not quintessentially unique. So
standing out takes bravery, takes courage, and that's a little bit short these days, I think, and companies are being very safe. The other
that goes back to the mindset.
A very practical thing is, let's say, and we do webinars on LinkedIn, and I think we're actually going to have a panel discussion coming up, and so we'll be announcing that. And check out the post. There's some links in there, and there's B2B Marketing Mindset.com if you want to see past episodes. But I think this idea of uniqueness, people, they don't give it enough weight, and it's also can be very hard to kind of figure it out, because it also has to be authentic. So it has to be something the customer cares about. It has to be authentic, and you got to be able to back it up, whatever your uniqueness is. If you say it's quality, you better have the best damn quality ever known to man.
No one's going to believe that anyhow, though.
And it also has to be unique. So it's these three things. So anyway, differentiation.
I was gonna ask you a question about that differentiation. Have you ever had a time like when you went into one of your clients, Pete, and maybe you asked the owners or the people that were in charge, what makes them unique, and then maybe you talk, whether it's casual or regular conversation, with some of the employees of that same organization, and they say something totally different, you know. So I don't know if that's something that goes under here about being unique too, is being able to have the employees understand and know what it is as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think most of them would say, in my experience, they don't even know how to answer the question,
Oh, really?
or uh, there's more to it. Like, if differentiation fits into something called a positioning statement.
Hmm.
So these companies that aren't differentiated, I see it all the time in security systems, consulting firms, financial advisors, real estate companies. They're just not differentiated, um, and uh, there's always something that inside that you can find that's unique about your company if you know the landscape. Um, and if you're in a sea of companies that are the same and you're the different one, or a practical application is look at your LinkedIn feed and you're doing these webinars or doing whatever you're doing. You know, does your artwork look like all the other artwork?
Exactly.
Does it just blend in and looks the same as everybody else? I mean, you got to look different, be different, sound different, act different, and make that your authentic thing. You can't fake it.
No.
No, you can't fake it. You can't say that you have super duper quality and then be like, yeah, we make Yugos. People don't take that seriously.
Yeah. Does the younger generation even know what a Yugo is anymore?
Nope. But
I
hey,
don't
I
think.
don't think they're listening to this program.
Okay.
But hey, I like doing this. We're going to keep doing it. We do this every week at 11 o'clock Central. It's live on LinkedIn, but again, you can subscribe to it on all the major platforms. And I think it's a topic we're going to revisit quite a bit. And we try to bring it in. We're actually only at 20 minutes today, and we usually go about 30. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about? You're in Wisconsin, so, we could talk about cheese. I know it's a
We,
huge topic
we,
there, is what I
but
just
why does everybody think that? You know, it's real interesting because like whatever happened to the bratwurst? I think a lot of people,
they're forgetting
bratwurst
the
is part of
brats.
exactly. It's like, you know, but what
Don't
makes us
forget the
unique?
brats.
Yeah. What makes Wisconsin unique? Everybody thinks cheese. Yeah. So, yeah. I was
Oh, well, I miss Wisconsin though. But
it is it's a fun time and the weather has been absolutely
what does
beautiful. And
make
I know you guys are having like scary heat waves down in Texas, aren't you
Yeah,
right
that
now?
makes us unique. For us, you know what it is? It's salsa.
Oh, there
People are
you
like,
go.
"Oh, you're salsa. Oh my goodness, that's your big
Yeah.
differentiator." No, well, Austin has tried to position itself as the music capital of the world, as you know.
Yeah.
Here's a
Right.
little secret for everybody: the musicians call it the tip jar capital of the world
Oh, okay.
because it's like almost every music scene and every major music scene. It's just crappy. It's economically disastrous for the creators, you know, um, and that's a longer story.
Are
But that would
you
be fun to tackle the economics of that because
actually that would be fun or talk about the competition like everybody at least everybody I hear is like moving to Nashville and doing stuff. So like what's the difference between Nashville and Austin or what's the difference between,
well, the plight of
Nashville?
musicians is like a more exaggerated version of what happens to B2B companies because in essence, a club band or any kind of band, they are on the supply side, and then they're selling to another business, a venue, a record label, a club, a tavern, whatever that is. They're serving a purpose, right? But everything's exaggerated. So there's things that go on in the music business that in the normal business world would never ever fly. Um, you'd be drummed out of town on a rail and have tar and feathers. I think that's what we do down here. I don't know what they do up there. Probably something to do with brats.
Well, and it's interesting because you've played up here before, but
Many many
Summerfest is
years.
supposed to be the largest music festival in the country, and it's I know you've played there many times, so I think
We,
that's one of our claims to fame that a lot of people don't realize.
I think we were at 12 or 13 years in a row.
Were you?
But yeah, it's huge. I'd say that's a differentiator. Lake
Hmm.
Michigan is a differentiator. Crime is a
Absolutely,
differentiator. You got that going for you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Especially Milwaukee. Right on Milwaukee though for being number one. I saw a map recently of crimes, stats, and of course I saw my old alma mater. So what does differentiate your business? What's real? How do you figure out how to differentiate yourself? Like we said, when's the last time you went and looked at companies in your market space that are an alternative to what you sell? When's the last time you just went out and just looked at their shit, like looked at their blog,
Exactly.
and like, what are they trying to say? We have the best quality and service. Well, that's strange because that's what we're saying.
I really think that that's a good idea for somebody to do. And you talked about a marketing mindset, Pete. I think even just listening to our blog, is kind of like the beginning. So it's hopefully getting somebody to be convinced. But your other idea of go and look at some of the other stuff that's out there, I think is another good thing to do.
Well, when it comes to watching this blog or listening to it, this podcast, I should say.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You have to be tolerant. You just have to be tolerant. We're not professional news people here. We're just doing our thing.
But we've each been in business over 30 years, and I think we've seen a lot of things. And you've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of research. We've done a lot of different marketing activities, strategies, and makes a difference.
Somebody told me that at the beginning of the program, we should say, like, who the hell we are and, like, why should I listen to these guys? I don't know. I think you should go check out the topics of the episodes, listen for a few, part of a few episodes. You could decide for yourself. But, it's that's why I think we laugh about it so much. It's just the sheer frequency of the madness. And we hope in this program to help you avoid it. And statistically, very few people will have made it this far through the video. So if you're still with this video at this point, you are in the upper 2%. So you congratulate yourself on that.
That's insulting. I'm hurt. You're telling me people are going to tune out?
It's just the way it is, man. They only
so the people
spend
that
like
have
2
stayed
minutes
the
on your
whole
website.
time, if they've stayed the whole time, Pete, we've got to come up with some kind of award or prize.
You should have a special little thing at the end of the program.
Yeah, they have the marketing mindset. We're going to send out a certificate to anybody that is still with us at the end, but you have to at least watch 3 episodes and we'll send you a certificate.
Well, no, let's say this. If you hear me saying this right now, make a comment that says Milwaukee, and we'll find something cool to send you.
There you go.
But I do hear the theme music, I think. No, I don't. I should. There it is. And so off we are until next week. We'll see you. There's that girl talking about the mindset.
There we go.
We'll see you all next week, 11 o'clock here on LinkedIn.
Are you ready to master marketing?
Are you ready to master marketing?